And we're back with Emma Knows Money and Stephanie Anderson, estate planning attorney. And we're going to talk about two other documents that are necessary in your estate plan. We're going to talk about financial powers of attorney. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that document is and the two, there may be more, but there's two types that I know about that I have to deal with. So
so think of your financial power of attorney. It's a blank check that you're giving someone, right? So this is a document basically that allows someone to manage your finances in legal life, right? If you're incapacitated and you can't do it. So there are two types. There is a springing type. So that type is the type that we draft a lot of, where we're basically saying, this is a person that I want to manage my finances. If I can't do it, if I'm still alive but I'm incapacitated, but only if I become incapacitated, right? So that's a springing type of thing. And so there will be instructions that says, you know, a doctor needs to say it, or there can be some other types of situations where we say, okay, at this point, this document can be used.
Correct.
And usually it's around a doctor has said, I can't manage my finances anymore. The other type of financial power of attorney, and I draft these more so for clients who are older.
Right.
It's a financial power of attorney that goes into effect immediately. So we're not worried about a doctor, right? At this point, as soon as the document is signed, daughter, son, whoever can start managing finances for mom.
They have the legal right to write checks, to call on their
bills,
behalf, talk to the utility companies, etc.
Yeah, they can do all of that on behalf of their loved one at that point.
Now, do you think that people should contact, you know, their financial institutions, contact their utility companies to find out which type of power of attorney is accepted?
Usually either or is accepted, but what I would suggest more so with banks. Contact banks and see if they have their own power of attorney. Because sometimes they don't care, and banks have their own thing going on sometimes, unfortunately. But they have their own document, and they want their document to have been signed.
Right, and in the investment industry, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They typically have their own document that they want signed, and so it's a good idea to find out, you know, it's always better to know what you need before you need it, because at that point it may be too late.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the third document, the healthcare directive.
So this is a healthcare directive. So I always just want to make sure people are very clear. Your financial power of attorney does not allow that person that you've named to make healthcare decisions on your behalf. So you need another document to do that.
Right.
And in Georgia, we call that the Advanced Directive for Healthcare. And you're nominating someone to communicate end-of-life decisions for you. So how do you feel about life support? How much treatment do you want? At what point is it okay to pull the plug? I know that sounds really morbid, but it is what it is. This is what this document is saying. It's also, you know, do you want to be an organ donor? Do you want to donate your body for medical study? Do you want an autopsy performed? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? All these end-of-life decisions, healthcare decisions.
Yeah.
That's what's in this document.
Yeah, that document is actually really great. It hurts sometimes when you're going through it. You know, we'll talk a little bit about this, but I had a client who became a friend, and her healthcare directive said she didn't want to be resuscitated. She wanted pain medication, but she didn't want food, and I think water was okay. And you know, just realizing that you have to follow what that document says. This is that person's wish. So it's kind of bittersweet, but it has to be done. One of the other areas that, you know, any parents or grandparents out there that have, you know, teenagers, 18-year-olds that are about to go away to college, it is very important that before they leave or as soon as they turn 18, that you get this advanced directive signed.
Yeah.
Right?
And a financial power of attorney.
Right.
Right. Because now, in the eyes of the law anyway, they're an adult once they turn 18. And mom and dad just can't step in and start making decisions for, even though they're your child, because now they're an adult. So if you want to still be able to help your child, if something happens to them, if we're in that situation, now they're incapacitated, make sure they're executing those documents before they go off to college or move away from the nest. It's really important.
It's very important. I mean, and just think of, you know, kids getting into, you know, car accidents. or if they, you know, a lot of kids nowadays are having, you know, mental breakdowns, and they end up in the hospital. If you as a parent come to see your child, the doctors won't talk to you.
Exactly.
Unless the child gives you permission. So you can go there, you can be worried, but they're not going to tell you anything. If they have a medical condition, the doctors legally can't tell you anything, even though you're the parent. So having these documents for kids about to go off to college
really important.
Is very, very important.
And HIPAA is another one of those documents that people forget about.
Okay.
But, you know, HIPAA, this HIPAA authorization, it waives protection or privacy for certain documents, more importantly, medical records. So if you have a child that's now deemed an adult, you want to also make sure that there's a HIPAA authorization where mom and dad can now get these medical records.
So you didn't know about that.
Right?
Right.
So it's not automatic, unfortunately.
So even if you have a healthcare directive, you still need to have a HIPAA?
Still have a separate HIPAA.
Wow.
Still have a standalone HIPAA authorization.
Okay, good deal. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about young families, kids, and money. And we'll be back right after this.